exports and foreign direct investment is a vital and necessary component to our overall economic development plan to bring high-quality jobs to our state. Since taking office back in 2011, the Lieutenant Governor and I have led many trade missions that have directly contributed to job opportunities for Iowans in many companies from all over our state. Companies like Sukup Manufacturing in Sheffield, Tri-States Grain Conditioning in Spirit Lake, the Lordson Group in Ankeny, Patient Education Institute in Coralville, and many, many more, large and small. We know as elected officials how competitive the world economy is, and we will continue to do what we can to promote Iowa products around the world. So I'd like to turn it over to Lieutenant Governor Kim Reynolds to tell you about an upcoming trade mission that she will lead. Lieutenant Governor Reynolds.
Thank you, Governor Branstad, and good morning. During my time as Lieutenant Governor, I've had an amazing opportunity to represent Iowa and to lead trade missions around the world to countries like China and Brazil and South Korea, Vietnam, and Thailand, just to name a few. In Iowa, we know that 1 in 5 jobs is attributed to our ability to export Iowa products. And our focus on exporting our products around the world to help Iowa companies grow is exactly why Governor Branstad and I conduct these trade missions. This October, in conjunction with the International Trade Office of the Iowa Economic Development Authority, I'll be leading a trade mission to Argentina and Uruguay from October 1st through the 8th. Our first stop will be in Buenos Aires, Argentina, for a series of business meetings, where we will then move on to Rosario, Argentina, the nation's second largest economic region. Argentina is a country that is rich in natural resources, and Argentina has also recently become an attractive market for U.S. exporters with the election of President Macri, who has adopted a series of economic measures which also include opening up markets, seeking foreign investors, and reactivating international trade. Argentina has great potential for growth. With imports all but frozen over the past 4 years, the markets have opened wide to imports, including supplies, capital goods, and services in order to manufacture locally, as well as to seek sophisticated technology and equipment that is not currently available to their country. I'm proud to say that Iowa will be one of the first states returning to Argentina on a trade mission since the markets have opened up under President Macri's administration. This is great news for Iowa companies who are looking to establish relationships and begin the opportunity of exploring new markets in Argentina. After Argentina, we will then move on to Montevideo, Uruguay. And Uruguay has a market-oriented economy with an open trade policy that has been also experiencing steady economic growth. The U.S. is Uruguay's 4th largest supplier of goods, mainly fuels, communication, electricity generators, and agricultural machinery. A combination of favorable exchange rates, higher wages, historically low unemployment, and consumer confidence in the economy has been an increasing demand for imported products. Many different Iowa companies that manufacture machinery and equipment should find Uruguay, the Uruguay portion of the trade mission, to be a very beneficial opportunity for their business. Participating Iowa companies will have one-on-one pre-qualified appointments, whether they are seeking to either develop or expand direct export sales. They'll have an opportunity to locate distributors or agents, conduct market research, or have other goals. All industry sectors are invited to participate in this trade mission. However, space is somewhat limited, and the applications to participate in the trade mission are due to the Iowa Economic Development Authority office by August 1st. For more information, we would ask you to look at the website, iowaeconomicdevelopment.com, or you can contact Peggy Kerr at 515-725-3143. I've certainly found in my previous trade missions that Iowa's reputation precedes us with a sterling reputation of not only quality people, but quality, safe, reliable products. And I'm certainly looking forward to having the opportunity again to lead a trade mission and assist Iowa companies in establishing relationships with political leaders and businesses in South America. And so now I think we would be happy to take your questions. My trade mission last year was to Brazil. Yes, it is. The markets have been closed, especially in Argentina, for the last 4 years. And so this is an opportunity with it opening up under the new president. This is a great opportunity for us to be one of the first states to make those connections.
What sort of precautions will you take in regards to Zika? I have some acquaintances who aren't around their pregnant daughter because they've been on a cruise to South America and they don't want there to be.
Right. So we'll take the necessary precautions, and we would encourage any individual or company that's looking to participate in the trip to consult with their doctors, and then they need to individually make the decisions whether they feel comfortable or safe in participating in the trade mission.
Do you have any second thoughts?
Did I? No. I'm fine with. I've made the decision. We've made the decision to participate. I'm fine with that. And as I indicated, would encourage individuals that are taking a look at participating to take the necessary steps in consulting with their physicians.
Have you thought about? Neither you nor the governor has been to Cuba. Have you? Are you looking to go to Cuba? Sure, where I think some state officials have been.
Right.
Right.
There are some state officials that have been there. And, it's not a huge market, but there might be some opportunities there for agriculture. And certainly it's something we'll look at in the future, but it's not something that's planned at this time. Are there other questions? We'll handle questions on other subjects as well this morning. Yes.
Governor, the Supreme Court just on 5-3 vote struck down the Texas abortion clinic regulation law. Does that have any impact for Iowa?
No, I'm disappointed that the Supreme Court made that decision. I think that the state should have the right to determine those matters, but this was a law that was unique to the state of Texas. So, but we believe the states ought to have the right to be able to protect the safety and well-being of their citizens with regard to abortions. Yes.
Governor, I have a question regarding the DOT. As you recall, the legislature cut the proposed requested increase in the state DOT's budget, and we're hearing talk that the DOT is drawing up layoff list, that they're looking at closing some highway garages. What can you tell us is happening in regards to that?
I have met with Paul Tribino, who's the director of the DOT, and I think they're going through a thoughtful review. You may be aware of the fact that the DOT has been consolidating some of their facilities around the state over the last several years, and that they have indeed reduced the size of their staff, and that will continue. But they're not planning any significant layoffs, and I believe that the changes that they're looking at and making their facilities are thoughtful changes designed to efficiently provide for the needs of the people of the state of Iowa with the budget limitations that they have.
So there may be some closings of highway garages and.
Well, there have been several consolidations and changes that have been occurring over the last several years, and that is going to continue. Yes.
Do you anticipate workforce reductions in other areas, other agencies this week?
No, we don't anticipate any significant reductions. There's always changes, and there's always people that retire or quit and things like that. We're down about 2,200 state employees from the day that we took office back in January 2011. That's been primarily done through attrition over time, and we want to continue that effort to make state government more efficient and accountable. This was a difficult budgeting year. The legislature made the tough decisions they needed to. They passed an honest budget that's sustainable over the long run. And that's why Iowa is one of the best managed states, and our cash reserve and economic emergency accounts are full, and we're living within our means.
Latest morning state auditor is based on her analysis of the budget. I'm sure she's shared that with you.
No, I haven't seen it. But first of all, I will say, I worked with David Vout, and we've worked with Mary Mosman, and I think it's good that the auditor does this. And, we made great progress, in reducing some of the bad budgeting practices of the previous administration and the legislature. And we want to continue to do that. And so I'm anxious to see the audit and her recommendations.
One of the things that Auditor Bowd and now Auditor Bozeman have raised is the lack of planning for negotiated salaries
Right.
and the legislature's refusal to budget for that. Is that something which you intend to bring up with legislators in 2017? Or are you
Well-
just gonna let that continue?
Well, that's a legislative decision.
So you're not gonna bring it up?
Well, it's a legislative decision. Remember, by law, we have to negotiate. And then it's the legislature's decision what they're going to do in terms of funding that.
You think it's good budgeting?
Well, I think it's a reality of the financial circumstances that the state is faced with. And we've lived with it and worked with it and continued to look at that. And when we came in, we faced a financial disaster because the previous administration used one-time money for ongoing expenses, and they had obligated us to a early retirement plan where we had to pay over a 5-year period healthcare costs and other costs for people that were no longer on the payroll. Now, fortunately, we've completed that. We don't want to do those bad budgeting practices again. We want to keep the state in a solid financial position, and we want to continue to work with the legislature to meet those obligations, and that's what we've done. And that's one of the reasons why Iowa is one of the best managed states in the country. We're not Illinois. Illinois still hasn't got a budget for the last 2 years, and they have the most debt per capita. We're not going to run like that. We're going to run the way we believe the state should, and that makes Iowa more attractive. Yeah. Well, we can't because we submitted budget before that is over. Remember, the collective bargaining law says that we have to negotiate with the various unions, and then those negotiations almost always, I think, in my recollection, have always not been completed until after we've submitted our budget in January. So, there's no way we can submit it since we don't know what it's going to be. Yes.
Governor, I had a question. I was wondering whether you or your staff knew how many people are currently on the state payroll.
Well, I think, David, you have that information.
I don't, off the top of my head, we track it by pay period, per pay period.
So you got a ballpark idea how many state employees are currently there?
I would say 17,000, probably 700 or 800 bill.
That's the executive branch of state government, not counting the Board of Regents.
Yeah, excludes 18,000.
No,
17,800.
That excludes regents, also excludes the courts.
So that's just the executive branch of state government that's under ours.
2,200 on that.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question. You probably saw, there's been a number of stories about both Vilsack and about Ernst. How about yourself? We know we've talked with you and asked you the same question.
No, I'm not a candidate for lieutenant governor. I'm not a candidate for, I'm not a candidate for vice president either. No, I love this state, and I'm honored to serve the people of Iowa. And I'm not intending to be a candidate for national office.
What if Trump asked you, though? You've made your son is working for him. You endorsed him.
Well, I've said that I would be glad to advise him on issues that are important to Iowa, like renewable fuels. Iowa leads the nation in ethanol and in wind energy, and these are important to the future well-being and growth of our state. And he's indicated an interest in working with me, and obviously my son played a role in the Renewable Energy Alliance. And I think that's really important to the future of our state and our country. So I certainly want to be active on those issues, but I have no interest in being a candidate on the national level.
Or would you turn it down?
I don't want to get into that speculation. I'm just honored and proud to serve the people of Iowa, and that's where I want to stay.
Richard, I'm surprised you at the Brexit vote. What are you doing what are you advising the state and businesses to do?
Well,
to protect themselves?
Well, first of all, with every change that occurs in the world, there are both challenges and opportunities. And so I think so far people have been looking at the downside, but I think we also need to look at what are the opportunities there might be for Iowa. We're interested in trade. We're interested in economic opportunities that we might have. And we know, we've had our challenges with the European Union on issues like trade involving agricultural goods and the restrictions they put on GMOs and things like that. So there might be some opportunity to take another look at some of those things. I guess my feeling is we live in a dangerous world. We see the threat from ISIS and from these international terrorists, and we see the threat from huge international debt. And I think Europe's got a bigger debt problem than the United States, and we have a $19 trillion national debt. So it's something I think we need to be concerned about. I think one of the analysis I've heard is, well, forget about an increase in interest rates in the near future, because that's probably not going to happen. The stock market's taking a hit, and consequently, the Federal Reserve is probably not going to raise interest rates. Now, is that good or bad? I don't know. We have rock bottom low interest rates and have had them for a long time, and there's some people that benefit from that, but there's also some problems with that, especially if you're a person that's got money in savings. You're getting virtually nothing for what you might have in a CD.
Should the US get out of NAFTA and trade deals?
Well, I think we always ought to be pursuing opening and further breaking down barriers to trade. And the European Union has been a challenge to us, especially when it comes to agriculture products. So we need to look at, are there opportunities now that we have with the changes that's going on there to open them up more, to have more trade in terms of I want to see more trade, not less trade. I think less trade would be damaging to Iowa's economy, and I want to do all I can to be an advocate, just as the lieutenant governor is going on this trade mission with Argentina opening up. And I've been to Singapore, for instance, a country that when other countries were closing down and keeping out outside investments, they invited everybody in. And the result is they've been a very successful, prosperous country and grown dramatically. So I think that's a good example of what to do.
Governor, you're probably aware with this Brexit vote, this same kind of thing has been discussed in Texas for years. And some people are saying in Texas that, especially after something like happened today with the Supreme Court ruling that Texas can't do something, and some people want to have Texas secede from the union. They're very serious about it. And you probably aware some polls show significant interest. Should people in Texas be allowed to secede from the United States?
Well, no. I understand that Texas has an interesting history. Remember, Texas was a country at one time. They won their independence from Texas. There's this famous statement made by David Crockett, who served in the Congress from Tennessee. And he was so fed up with serving in the Congress, he said, "The rest of you can go to hell. I'm going to Texas." And he died at the Alamo, of course. But so I don't know. That was a great decision on his part. But that was his last speech before the United States Congress. So, no, we are not the European Union. We are the United States of America. And this is a unified country, but we're also a federalist system. And one of the concerns that I think a lot of people in Texas have, a lot of people in Iowa have, is that the direction this country has been going is we're seeing the states' rights being whittled away by the federal government, by actions of the administration and by the courts. And there is great concern among many states, including people throughout the United States, on that issue.
Go back to has said that's been a mistake. He pointed that out as a criticism against the appointments.
I have always supported free trade, and I think it's been a good thing for Iowa. I understand that Donald Trump thinks that we could be smarter and do a better job of negotiating those deals. And I'll take that as constructive criticism, but I don't think that means that we don't pursue breaking down barriers and increasing more trade opportunities in all parts of the world.
Can I circle back to the Texas Supreme Court ruling on the abortion law? There have been bills introduced in the legislature here by House Republicans that were maybe not the same, but along the same lines. Does this ruling suggest to?
Well, it just came down, and we're going to have to analyze it and see. You know, we've had the court decisions at the federal and state level. I was very disappointed when our Iowa Supreme Court sided with the Planned Parenthood against our Board of Medicine on telemed abortions, and we're one of the few states that has permitted telemed abortions. I think that was a bad decision. So, you know, I guess we'll have to analyze and review what the impact this might have.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.